Tibet, was and is the patient zero. For example, now they are taking 1 million children to boarding schools, from primary to middle school, right? So essentially, they are taking 5 to 16-year-old kids from their parents and take them to boarding school, where access to parents is also difficult, other than children coming back home if you live in neighborhood area during weekends or something. Otherwise, it's an enclosed campuses. Now, in those schools, boarding schools, they are taught Chinese language. Medium of instruction is Chinese. You start with the national anthem, salute to Communist Party, and then they say Tibetan civilization is backward, Tibetan people thinking is backward, your parents don't know anything, you're not modern enough. So children brain are corrupted with propaganda and brainwashing. This is what they call culture assimilation, right? Now, let's say if you read the history of America, what happened to Native Americans is wrong, and the Americans fully acknowledge that was barbaric and wrong. Now the Chinese government officials came to America, went to Native American reservation, and what they learned, we should do that barbaric centuries old system that everybody says wrong. We should do it on Tibetans. We should do it on Uyghurs and Mongolians. Right? So they are kind of a human engineering in the sense, brainwash your mindset so that you don't believe in who you are, and you believe that you're inferior, you're not good enough, you are subservient to Han civilization, Han mindset, and Han culture, and Han values. So that's how they are trying to make Tibet into a Chinatown, Tibetan into Chinese, but an inferior one. So that's a civilizational changes that they're trying to bring. So the present policy of human engineering or assimilation is the latest effort. In 1950s and 60s, they physically destroyed 98% of Tibetan monasteries and nunneries. 99.9% of monks and nuns were disrobed, and the scriptures were burnt. Artifacts were burnt, looted. If it is of precious metal like gold or silver, it was melted and used. And it was of aluminum or iron, it was melted and made into utensils. And if it's very precious metals, they sold it in the black market. So literally, Tibetan civilization, thousands years old civilization, at the moment we barely managed to recover 20 or 25% of what we preserved for thousands of years. So that's the physical destruction and disrobement, banned Buddhism. But then Tibetans, when they got small freedom, small space, we start rebuilding our monasteries, rejoining monks, monasteries, and the Tibetan civilization, culture, values have come back. So now they're coming back with, they realize that the physical destruction is not enough. Now they must be culturally assimilated, mentally brainwashed through propaganda. So that's the effort they're coming now.
But now it also seems that that they're coming after Buddhism itself and co-opting it, or maybe you say co-opting, or you could, obviously it's a corrupting, or to use it for their own purposes.
Yes, what they call Sinicization of Buddhism, meaning because Buddhist values and Buddhist teachings are same, is universal. Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Path, compassion, kindness, empathy, all that. But when you teach Tibetan Buddhism, there is an element of national identity, there is a pride. Because the Tibetan scholars went to India in 7th and 8th centuries, learned Sanskrit, translated what Buddha taught and his disciples taught, translated those scriptures, brought it back to Tibet. So there is this journey, there is this adventure of sacrifice, great achievement, and it has this element of national identity and pride. So by Sinicizing Buddhism, they're taking away all that and telling Tibetan monks, you can teach only in Chinese. So they're removing the national identity, the civilizational creation and the struggle away from the narrative. They are trying. That's the effort, So now they're getting psychological, right? That's what they try to do. And they have never would watch and try and control everything, create fear, control everything. It did not work. Now they're trying to enter people's minds to brainwash them. But still, it will not work because human spirit is so strong. Civilization is so ancient and rich. Yeah. No, His Holiness Dalai Lama, a great visionary leader, right? His strategy was very simple. He said, okay, the Chinese are destroying everything in Tibet. What we'll do is plan A, rebuild most of the major monasteries in exile in India, in Nepal and Bhutan, which we did that. And plan B, we will rebuild in the whole of Himalayan region, because across the Himalayan region is Tibet. If you revive Buddhism, historically they were Buddhists, right? And if you revive Buddhism in whole of the Himalayan belt, His Holiness' thinking was very simple. Even if Chinese government destroys everything in Tibet, when Tibet gets autonomy or some freedom, if Buddhism is revived in this part of the mountains, all you need to do is cross those mountains and revive Buddhism. So that's plan B. Plan C is spread the message of Buddha around the world through Buddhist centers, right? So you have rebuilt in India, you have rebuilt in the Himalayan belt. Now you revive Buddhism or preserve Buddhism all over the world. So Chinese tentacles, Communist Party tentacles could be strong and many, but you cannot reach in exile in the Himalayan belt and outside. And then plan D was to revive Buddhism back in China. So China, oddly, is the country where you have the largest Buddhists in the world. So there are 400 million Buddhists, more than Communist Party members, which is only 90 million members, right? So that's plan D. So, can you imagine His Holiness Dalai Lama thinking, okay, we'll build in exile, Himalayan belt, outside, around the world, back in China. So that's how Buddhism is safe. There's great talk about, a lot of talk about great power struggles in America or Western-led world order. And then now there is this, Chinese world order, so they have a definition of, China's development initiative, security initiative, civilization initiative, right? So they have an alternate vision of the world order. Our message is the present world order, with all its double standard and weaknesses and loopholes, it's a freedom-based world order. Meaning you can criticize parliament and leaders, you don't go to jail. Chinese world order is a nasty one. We have been at the receiving end for 65 years. Listen to us. Chinese world order will try to destroy your civilization, your culture, your identity, and without freedom. You protest in China. Forget protest. If I go to Beijing and say the things that I'm saying now, they put me in prison. Is that the world order you want? Or you prefer the present world order with all its faults and weaknesses? That's the choice people have to make. Now, there's a lot of talk about global South, preferring Chinese world order, perhaps. They should know from us that we have lived under Chinese world order. You don't want it. If you insist on having it, you can have it. But when you regret it, we'll come and tell you, we told you so. We will feel bad about saying that, but we will come and tell you that's the Chinese world order you are living under, which is very unpleasant.